The following podcast is scheduled for one fall. Introducing first, the ace that runs the place, Sam Tate. And his tag team partner, Rob is Warren.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining us and giving us a little bit of your Wednesday time. I'm, of course, Sam Tate, joined once again by my buddy Warren Sprague, and I'm coming in hot, Warren. You gotta stop me. You gotta hold me back.
Oh, at you by both arms. I'm tugging with all of the body weight I can muster. I know. I think I feel it coming. You're so. Oh, I lost you. Oh God. You're unleashed. What's happening?
Okay, that got a little high school improv really fast, but you sent me a clip, and I didn't actually even know about this, and we weren't even going to talk about current events because, as by the title of this podcast, you may recognize that I wanted to talk about the first ever premium live event, which back then were called pay-per-views, that the two of us attended in like some feel-goody nostalgia type stuff, because it feels like with wrestling right now, it's better to like group a bunch of stuff together, like weeks together, so you can really formulate an opinion. The weekly formula of pro wrestling is just kind of like wait and see. It's not really like shock value, tune in this week. It's like, there'll be a payoff later. And boy, did they give us a little breadcrumb for maybe the stupidest, the dumbest, the most ignorant, the most foolish, the most insulting decision in a long time.
They did give us something that we absolutely cannot avoid discussing, sir. Go ahead. You've already unleashed so much temper. You might as well grind your gears for us over what's really tearing you apart.
The Triple H segment on Raw unveiled a brand new title belt. And let me say, we can be both. We can be positive and we can be negative. We can be fair. The belt looks great. It looks like an actual championship belt. It looks like someone who does a sport would collect as a trophy.
I'm absolutely shocked. I could have sworn if I was going to spin the wheel and land on somebody who was going to hate this thing, it was going to be Sam Tate. I thought you would loathe this.
It looks similar to both the big gold belt and it looks similar to the old like globe WWE World Championship, which in my opinion, the big eagle, the gold, the gold circular, whatever.
Yeah, the 99 one, right? Like the 99 2000s.
Yeah, there's two of them, and I think they're both pretty good. There's like 99 and like 97, I think it is. But, belt nerds can comment below which one's which. Because there's the gold eagle and there's like the gold globe or something. The main thing is this belt looks like an actual title belt, and I'm down for that. It looks like an actual piece of gold, like the whole diamond rhinestone black leather. Ew, get that shit out of here. Give me a big fat gold plate. Give me something that looks like a fucking trophy, not like a toy. I dig the look, but that's about the only good thing I can say. And it's not great. It's like a 7 out of 10. Don't get me wrong, but that's about the only good thing I can say about this.
Well, I was bothered at first, especially for the fact that they're just splitting the titles again. And we've talked about how that's going to impact the roster. But looking at the belt itself, my first inclination is to, think of it as a create a belt template from the old WWE versus SmackDown versus Raw 2003 2K games. It just looks like something that you can basically create from template number 3 with some minor adjustments. And, I was surprised to think you would like it because I was getting ready to try to justify why I would hate it. But honestly, what I think most people disliked about the previous belts eventually were the giant W. And so we've split that in half and created kind of the big gold belt that you referenced. Sure, that's being brought back, but shaped down a little bit to be more like the 90s belt, late 90s belt. Sure. And then we kept the side plates from the big W's, which I like. I've always liked I like those side plates as opposed to the guy's name on it personally. So I
imagine those plates can be changed out when a guy wins the belt.
Exactly. They can.
Like, I imagine they're not going to be W's when someone's holding it.
No, there'll be some logo or something like that that's synonymous with the character. That's one of my favorite things about the W belts these last couple years is that you didn't have your traditional nameplate. You had literally your logos or your brand, making it clear who the champion was. Thought that was always cool. So I kind of like it already, especially more that I talk about it. I'm just glad that I'm glad that the world stopped turning for a second and Sam Tate approves of a new championship belt because every single belt
Whoa,
that's
whoa,
come
whoa!
through,
Don't say it like that.
I think. Come on, Sam. I've known you for 10 years in this stuff. Like, I don't know if you've ever gone, now that's a belt. Like,
Well, yeah, but you got to specify. It's specifically the look, because I'm not okay with them adding a new title belt. It's the most dumbass thing. It's the most anti-wrestling thing I can think of. Like, it makes me so upset that they're like, oh, well, we unified the titles. That's a very good thing. The next step was to combine the two of them into a single title belt. But now they're going to do that after introducing a third world championship and just deciding that one of them doesn't even matter.
just totally dumb. You're right. And honestly, when I first saw this image come out before I got to read the article and watch the video, is that I honestly thought this belt was going to replace the two that Roman's been
Me
carrying
too.
around.
I thought they were
Yeah.
finally going to combine them into one belt, and I saw the way it looked in the thumbnail, and I was like, "Oh, this looks great! This is awesome! This is going to be." I was really the thing I was going into it watching. The thing I was going into it afraid of was that they were going to give it a stupid name, like the WWE World Heavyweight Championship Universal, like whatever. Just
Right.
smash it all together. Like we could just call him the WWE World Champion. That has a ring to it.
Well, they absolutely at least need to take out the word undisputed from the previous championship title that Roman's been
No, he's
carrying
still
around.
undisputed on those two titles.
Oh, and I'm going to throw up. Like, I
And
don't
he's going to be
like that.
undisputed forever on those two titles because those two titles are going to merge into a third title. So we'll actually have 4 total titles, but 2 of them are retired, and Roman is undisputed champion of those 2.
God, I'm going to throw up.
It's
One of our
stupid.
good-
Imagine literally any sport doing this. Imagine any sport going, oh, the Bulls three-peated, so we're going to have the the NBA, instead of the finals, trophy, we'll have the NBA United States trophy or something, whatever, like the national champion instead of the NBA champion. Like, imagine UFC just being like, okay, well, this guy is really unbeatable in light heavyweight, so instead of a light heavyweight title, we'll have a world light heavyweight title. Like, fuck off, man. This is so stupid. It's so insulting to the intelligence of the fans. Any fan who there's a lot of positive feedback for this. The people cheered when he's like, we'll make a new title that Roman Reigns can't take from you, and someone will actually have to defend it. That's everything wrong with wrestling today. That's everything stupid about wrestling, is that Roman Reigns gets to fuck off somewhere else, go back to one show, and be protected from half the roster, and whoever becomes this new World Heavyweight Champion is not the real champion. Whoever holds that title is not better than Roman Reigns. They probably will have had a chance to have beaten Roman Reigns and have already been beaten, and there's absolutely no way to take them seriously as a number one or top guy within their own kayfabe, but also within the actual company, because this is the actual company outside of kayfabe, fucking telling you that Roman Reigns is the top guy, so much so that we have to create fake accolades for other people.
Oh, God. You're creating an entire tower of disappointment to topple down over any positivity I was trying to feel about this decision. Man, you're right, though. I mean, from my perspective, it feels like what they're doing is taking the incredible storylines that we've had over the last several years and basically diminishing their value and basically finding an excuse to give Cody Rhodes something. I mean, you have to think he's going to be favored to do this. And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
god, dude, if Cody wins this belt, finish what story?
Right. Exactly.
Finish what story, dude?
God, you're so right. That's precisely what I mean. Like, it was a little early, like, for Cody. Like, Cody's got to beat Roman. It's a little early to give this belt,
He's
like,
got to beat whoever
life.
beats Roman. If he doesn't, like, he's got to win the actual title, whatever it is. Because back when they had the World Heavyweight Championship and the WWE Championship, which was also stupid, which was also just ignorant, which was also just foolish and insulting to the fans. Back when they did that, like, you could already, it would flip flop, but for a long time the SmackDown title was just not the real title. And then for a long time after that, the World Heavyweight Championship was not the real title because it was on the SmackDown show. Like, and then for a while it was, well, all the best wrestlers are on SmackDown, so the Raw title doesn't matter because it's a fucking Miz holding it or whatever. Whenever that happened, right?
Right.
Like, there's so many times where it's very clear that one guy is the best wrestler in the company and the other guy has a title.
That's right. I know. I'm with you. It is tough to understand why this needed to be done, and especially right now. They did such a good job of helping Roman to feel like, again, the one, right? It was a wonderful, masterful buildup of this character to an echelon I don't know if I've experienced in my wrestling fandom. I feel like this guy was treated on a bigger level than Cena in certain ways.
I mean, they talked about it in the promo. Everyone kind of knows about now, right? He's on an insane run, longest ever in the modern era, all that good stuff. And you know, what does it take away from Roman for them to just create another belt? Like, if you do believe, if you are silly enough, if you are ignorant enough, if you are foolish enough to believe that this new title actually means something, what does that take away from Roman? What was the point of him? What was the point of him gatekeeping both belts? What was the point of him being so dominant? If someone else is better than him, and you can just, you know, decide, well, you know, they might as well just strip Roman of the belts and split him up. Like, you know, it's so corny, dude.
It's a technicality that I'm sure would simply infuriate Roman. So unless maybe they're trying to build to a Roman versus Triple H retirement match for Trips. You know, maybe he feels like he's got one more in him, which I know he doesn't, guys. Excuse me. I probably shouldn't even say stuff like that. But the truth is that it felt like they were dismantling their own iconic storyline. What needed to happen was for Roman to genuinely lose to somebody for it to matter that explosive amount, and then split those titles up.
No,
you
wrong.
know? If
This
you're
was the
gonna
perfect
do it,
time.
then do it.
This was the perfect opportunity for them to just make it a single belt. It was the perfect opportunity for Roman to just say, I'm tired of carrying two belts around. I'm never going to lose it anyways, right? It was the time for him to just say, here's my undisputed belt. I need this as a gift to me. You know, and then people just challenge him for the undisputed belt instead of splitting them. And then we go back to having one champion. We go back to having one roster. People flip-flop the frickin' shows anyway. What's the frickin' point? And then you just have, you know, your best wrestler. Why is that such a foreign fucking concept?
Well, I mean, it was working for a long time, whether he was carrying two belts or not. And like I'm saying, it worked.
What's the point of... what's the point of... I don't even know what the point of having mid-card belts anymore is, dude. Like, originally, the Intercontinental belt... You know, the United States Championships, those were basically the same thing as just having a second world championship, right? And that stuff just came around from before I was watching wrestling, so I just kind of accepted it. The same way I'm sure kids who grew up watching wrestling in the 2000s as their first experience just kind of accepted that. But, like, what is actually the point of being Intercontinental Champion?
So, gosh, I just want to weigh in on this because I feel like there was a certain way to decipher the type of wrestlers who were winning these things for me. And you're going to be like, you're overthinking it and you're crazy, but I'm just going to throw it out there.
Probably just pattern recognition, but yeah, go for it.
the Intercontinental Championship was often won by technical wrestlers who were on their way to proving that they were main event talents. We're talking about the upper crust of the mid card, and usually a lengthy run with that championship meant that when they would lose it, it was time to move up the card. Keep an eye, of course, on Gunther as being the next example of that. These were guys that were just almost on the main event, could command TV time frequently, and could entertain, but oftentimes were technically like sound. Okay.
So
The US Championship to me was often contended by characters just below that on the mid card that are still getting healthy reactions from the audience, who are still like quality in-ring workers who can do at least 10 to 15, whereas Intercontinental usually capped out at 20.
well, I mean, that
On a
was
great
the United
pay-per-view
States.
match.
The United States title was just WCW's version of the
Sure.
like it just started
Yes.
as their version of it.
Yes, I'm thinking about right. It started that way for them,
And then it was
I
just
respect
SmackDown's
that.
version of the Intercontinental title.
Right.
And SmackDown
Well-
just happened to have, their technical wrestlers in the world title picture. But the only reason the only real reason I can think of to have multiple titles is a litmus test with your audience. Do you like the way he holds it over his head? Do people cheer? It is another MacGuffin that you can use in the mid card, or maybe not MacGuffin. That's probably not the right term for it, but it is another foreign object that can be utilized and things like that. It is another toy that you can sell, which is the actual reason WWE does shit like this. But for me personally, as a practical reason, the only reason I would have stuff that is not actually weight class based, because as a kid it made sense that they had a light heavyweight title and a cruiserweight title,
Right.
because they called the major one the heavyweight, and it's you're coming from a boxing world, right? Think about championship belts, and in today's modern era, I can't really understand it, especially since we've all admitted that we're way far and away from making it weight class based. I like the idea where Impact has, I forget what they even call the title, because the matches end up not being interesting because they don't use the rules correctly, but they have like a round based match. They have a match that has like 3-minute rounds or 5-minute rounds, just like UFC does, and they have judges that score it if it goes to time limit. And they do such a horrible fucking job of booking that title. It makes me so upset. But it is a cool idea, and that's a reason to have a different title, because you have a different format. You have a different stipulation for everything, right? The hardcore title, that makes sense. We like hardcore wrestling. Let's see who's the best at hardcore wrestling, and it has special rules. It's a different format. When you talk about create title belts from championships, so many people made a steel cage match championship and a ladder match champion and a tables match champion, and like that is a better idea than just you're the mid-card champion or you're the other world champion, which is asinine.
Oh, I would never be okay with them making champions of specific gimmick matches, because that's just as bad as having pay-per-views built around them. So maybe worse.
What you
We're
say?
having
What
ladder
about the
matches
hardcore?
just
The
for
hardcore title? No, you like the hardcore title.
Of course I like the hardcore title, but only because I was a younger kid. I liked the use of blood.
You were a
as
fan of the
story.
24/7 title. Don't even talk about gimmick matches.
Well, I mean, I wanted to be. I thought it did great things for R-Truth, and I think most people, like, that's not a hot take. He's one of the only ones who benefited from the thing. Dana Brooke, I mean, maybe.
Carmella.
I mean, I'll throw up. I can't. There's too much trash amongst, R-Truth. So I love the hardcore title when I was younger because I enjoyed the blood, and I enjoyed that as a storytelling mechanism. And honestly, I enjoyed, yes, the randomness that came from people putting their bodies on the line. Like, that is something that I do think is connected to quality content for me in the world, in wrestling landscapes. And I'm probably over explaining like I didn't have to, but I would hate to see like a ladder match champion for that simple reason, as I just explained. Like, unless they're
But
challenging the format to have like 6 people in it, or to do stuff like the King of the Mountain match, which is the Impact format I remember enjoying, to throw it back at you. But
you used to watch
unless they're doing
TNA.
stuff like that, I don't want to see it. Go ahead. Yeah.
You used to watch TNA.
I mean, I used to catch the pay-per-view highlights because I understood they were doing stuff that was different from WWE, and there have been several times in my wrestling fandom career that I wished to see something other than WWE. So yeah, I liked Impact for the hexagonal ring. There were guys like AJ Styles and Samoa Joe who were absolutely tearing it up, and they were so different.
Okay.
From
I'm not trying to get
WWE
your
pushed.
opinion on TNA. I'm trying to preface the question of you mentioned the King of the Mountain match.
Yes.
And you're okay with them making a title belt that's like only for those matches?
I mean, it's a variant of the ladder match, if you ask me.
Yeah,
So
it's a goofy Vince Russo ass ladder match. Just it seemed like of all the variant format matches to have a specific division for, like, I mean, because the Ultimate X match was a thing. Like, that was a big deal. Was how they would always do Ultimate X, and even then, I thought that format was pretty tired pretty quickly.
Fair enough. I liked the Ultimate X matches themselves, though. They were really creative and different, and the guys in them were usually, again, the body shapes and types that allowed a lot of athleticism and a lot of impressive stuff. Too many spots, too little storytelling, but as a kid, mucho buco did I enjoy that. I don't know what that meant.
I was excited to watch them, and then I watched like 5 in a row, and I was like, "Hey, this is the same match every." Kind of wild.
It's
kind of wild how it's the same match.
It does have a limited selection of high spots, so I suppose that makes sense. Unique format-based high spots.
Yeah.
Epiphany just hit me. I got to share this with you. An epiphany just hit me. There is a reality, if you think about it, where this new merging of UFC and WWE in a way, though it's not officially that. It's just WWE coming under the same umbrella company as UFC. They create a gimmick belt around the cage fighting, matches, Hells and Cells.
Right, the same way that
Chambers.
TNA has one that's based around round-based martial arts judges.
What if that's the one? Could that might be a thing where like they tried to do the whole pit fighting underground fight club thing for like 4 months. Right,
SmackDown Underground returns, this time with pit fighting.
Well, this one would have like the Elimination Chamber, of course, the cage match.
As long as we don't bring back that stupid fucking cage that Matt Riddle and Seth Rollins wrestled in. That thing was ugly, and it added basically nothing.
I am tilting my head against my microphone in disappointment because that's the match type I was trying to remember the name of, and I think it is like the fight pit.
Yeah, fight pit, whatever.
I'm disappointed because I like that concept and I like that structure, and I think it does do a handful of different things that are pretty cool. Rudo, man.
I'm throwing up. It's just a cage with a platform at the top. Like, we're so far beyond that. It's not... Like, especially, like, there's no top to it, and they're like, well, if you leave, you forfeit. Like, that is so not the... I don't know. This isn't the cage match episode. I won't get started.
I think if any gimmick out there deserves acknowledgement of that, you can do that as your gimmick title match, or your belt.
Ew. If I had to pick a gimmick title match to have a belt for, it'd probably be a submission match, where you can only win the title by being the best submission technical wrestler. And really, that's what the Ring of Honor Pure Wrestling Championship should be. But, talk about a federation with too many titles.
Well, Impact, really? Of all, you really think they're the worst ones? I mean, AEW.
Well, I was talking about Ring of Honor, first of all.
Oh, of course.
Ring of Honor Pure Wrestling, yeah. And Ring of Honor, of course, is under the umbrella of AEW, where they feature their titles from both shows on there.
Yes. Now that I've been pwned and reminded of which universe we're in.
Look, dude, it's 4 titles. It's 4 titles that you get. You get a world champion. He's your top guy. You get your mid-card champion. That's your litmus test so that people can actually have a reaction to him winning something. Have a reaction to him having some stakes on the line where it's not like a blood feud. It's whether we want to see him as a champion. And then you have your women's title because you have the best, female wrestler, of course. And then you get one.
Your mixed tag team championships.
No, we're not including tags. We're not including tags in this. They're their own thing.
Okay.
I'm talking only singles. And then you get a hardcore title, and then you get a hardcore, or you get some special format where the rules are never normal, and you stop doing bullshit where you have a normal match for that title every now and then, because that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, and yet every federation has done it at some point.
Yeah. Singles matches for the hardcore title are disappointing.
I think Road Dogg would have done a lot better in this match if it was under the normal hardcore rules for the hard. Shut the fuck up. That's so stupid. That's the stupidest episode of Raw of all time.
Right. That's hilarious. Dude, I thought
having a fucking singles match with having a normal DQs are in match for the hardcore title just hurts my fucking brain, dude. Almost as much as saying, well, Roman Reigns is just too good, so we're going to take our ball and go home, and we're going to make our own title, and it's going to be the World Heavyweight, even though he already won the World Heavyweight. We called it something else, so we're going to call it the World Heavyweight again, and then it's going to be a real champion that you want to acknowledge, not some fake champion put together by a fucking corporate. Oh, wait.
Perfect. Brilliant interpretation of exactly what just happened on Monday Night Raw this week. And that's why it was unavoidable to discuss. And now, ladies and gentlemen,
take me back to 2005.
Please. I mean, only because I would love to be younger again. Jeez. Most depressing sentence I'll say on this show.
No, the most depressing sentence you said is that you like the fight pit.
I mean, it's good. It's good. You're a jerk. It's good.
You're literally clogging the serotonin to my brain. You are deleting the brain chemicals that make me happy.
And that's friendship in a nutshell for Sam Tate.
It's surprisingly normal, but what was our regular topic supposed to be?
Well, dude, you wanted to break down the first pay-per-view you attended live.
This is also going to hurt. If I didn't hurt people's feelings with talks about title belts, this is definitely going to hurt some people's feelings.
Before you do, I think it's really fair because my curiosity's really spiked and we've discussed it for the good first, third of the show intended. Can you tell me, man, what do you think makes a quality championship belt?
Oh, that's very simple. If it's your world title, it has the world on it. Okay. It should just have a globe. It's really not that hard. It should have your company's logo on it because it is a fucking advertisement. UFC gets this surprisingly right. And then it should have gold on it. That is the hallmark of a champion. That is what we have decided prizes are. And then from there, it should probably have like some texture. Pretty much every title belt, I can't even tell what the fuck's on it. Like, the big gold belt, the old WCW World Heavyweight title that they brought over for Raw, I think you can tell there's like a king's crown on it. Like, that's cool. The eagle embellishment, that's neat. All that shit's fine. As long as it's, a vaguely belt buckle shape, something ovalish. Circular is sometimes passable. But it's got to be gold. It's got to have the world on it or all the continents if it's an intercontinental title, which is also a stupid fucking name for a title. And it has to have your logo. That's about it. Other than that, it just has to not look fucking stupid.
Let's have a Sammy Justice lightning round. Ugliest ugliest belt ever. Go.
I'd have to have all of them in front of me to do something like this. What do you mean? The ugliest one that comes to mind. The ugliest one that comes to mind is the red Universal belt, though.
Ouch. Okay, best one all time. Favorite belt.
Ooh, I think we were just talking about the 99 WWF World Championship. Either the big gold eagle or the one that's surprisingly circular. down for both.
Best belt unique to a superstar who like wore the WWE championship
Oh, I
best.
hate those. Those are kind of lame.
All of them are trash.
I
Copy
don't know
that.
if they're all trash, but like it just seems like okay. I was going to talk about this earlier because the new world title belt looks kind of like the AEW belt, which I thought the AEW belt was better than all of the WWE belts. But the big burgundy belt, the Triple B, don't like it. First title run, don't like it. You don't get to change my company's entire belt, bro. Like that's always been such a weird concept to me. And the reason I think Stone Cold got away with it and was doing stuff like that was like specifically because he didn't like their redesign of a title belt.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a whole story. Yeah, there's like a whole story about him commissioning like new looks for the belt and everything. I don't know the full story because a lot of it gets, misconstrued and telephone gamed away and shit like that. But I've never been a massive fan of that because why doesn't everyone do that?
Oh, that would be so cool. Sometimes it'd be fun to think what each superstar would do, but that's kind of why the new WWE Championship belts were favored, at least in my mind, was those side plates that are customized to do that exactly. Like
if I'm gonna pick one, I guess I'll actually pick Jeff Hardy from TNA because he got a purple belt, and I like the color purple. If you can't tell by my YouTube channel.
Oh, interesting. I guess I didn't really absorb that. How did you feel about the Cruiserweight Championship belt? The purple one with the hexagonal name faceplate.
205 Live was cool. Like the belt was cool. The problem was the show it was on. The problem is that like again, we already decided that we're not separating things by weight class. So making a whole show about separating things by weight class, I don't really know. But it was a cool direction to try. It had the world on it. It had the logo on it. So I can't complain about it too much. It should have gold on it, though.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sure.
If it was like gold and like a lighter shade of purple, probably great.
That would be kind of pretty. The purple and gold, though, constant Lakers comparisons. I mean, is every cruiserweight a Los Angeles
it's
Lakers
the color of royalty and the color of champions. I'm not a fan of the Lakers, but I am a fan of tradition and the color purple.
Well said. Oh man. Okay. Well,
I mean, I only come from a place of facts and logic, Warren. That's the problem. I don't let my biases and my feelings get in the way of what's right.
Ew.
Do I want someone to beat Roman Reigns? Yes, sure. Is there anyone currently who should be beating Roman Reigns? Not really. There's very few left. And then making a new title doesn't solve the problem of Roman Reigns being the top guy. You know, you have to set aside your feelings and look at the facts. Does creating this new belt change anything, even if you don't want Roman to be the champ? No, unless you have the memory of a goldfish, you have the object permanence of a literal child, where you're just happy you go, oh, he had belt in hand, him not Roman and have belt in hand, yeah. Which, if that's your thing, more power to you. You deserve to be happy too.
Oh God, it's true, man. That's the payoff that's gonna come, and it's gonna really sink expectations. I mean, it's a really strange decision. So I think we have torn it apart enough, and we could finally, yes, transport you back to 2005 if you'd like.
Yeah, get me off the topic of belts, because the vast majority of belts look like shit and didn't even need to exist at this point.
Too darn bad. Ugliest belts, are they the tag team belts right now? The Trojan horses?
No. But gosh, they're close.
God, they're gross. Okay.
See, you're only thinking of WWE belts, right? You're still only thinking of you got to remember, I'm looking at all kinds.
No, that's true.
I'm searching my brain for all kinds of belts, my dude.
That's true. There's a ton of really bad ones, like maybe John Cena's US Championship. As unique as it was kind of gross.
I'm thinking like Smoky Mountain Wrestling belts. I'm talking like the Pacific Northwest Championship. Although that one's not bad. I'm just saying, like, I'm going through all the belts I know in.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's many. What's your thought on AEW's championship since we've just glossed right over them?
Oh, I liked the big one. I liked like the main belt they have.
Sure.
It looks like a championship belt. I liked the what was it called? Like the TNT or the TBS belts. Both of those look fine. It's got the TV logo, which is neither here nor there, I guess. But the color
Ass
scheme and stuff
kissy.
is a little weird.
It's just ass kissy is all I'm trying to say. But you said what was weird?
Oh, the having the TV stations logo is just
sure.
it's a little weird. So yeah, I as far as that goes, the other belts on AEW I just don't care about. That's the problem.
Ooh,
it's just
there's
like there's so many.
of them, really.
They
I
all
like
get
the trios
lost.
titles.
Huh?
I like the trios titles.
Yeah,
It's
see, I don't
nice
even
to
know what
see
they
them.
look like.
Well, that's a good point, isn't it?
Of all the belts I'm going through in my head, like the IWGP title and the IWGP United States title, that one's kind of ugly, right?
Oh yeah, but
That one's kind of chunky. You know what? You know what a great middle ground is? You know what, like a good, solid, it's a little unassuming, but it's not gaudy. And probably if you had to pick one to stick with forever, you know what the best belt to go with is?
The RVD era Intercontinental Championship.
No, like world title. Come on, we're going for a big. Also, RVD era, that guy probably held the belt in 2 different days.
Tell me about it. It was a long era, and it was a good era.
You remember the WWE Championship that came from the Undisputed title?
The one that came from the Undisputed title. So
Yeah.
I remember
when they had the
old...
WWE Undisputed Championship.
Yeah, that's the one that Brock and JBL held for a while.
Yeah.
That was SmackDown's version that John Cena pimped out.
Yeah, basically, like there's the Undisputed version, and then the SmackDown version is like slightly different. I would say go with the SmackDown. You had to pick one to go with forever. The SmackDown version, if I remember, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're like the exact same. I'm trying to think of it. I'm trying to think of it without. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, I think they absolutely are the same. Oh my god!
I could have sworn that they got a little smaller. I could have sworn the Undisputed one was like bigger, and it had like an eagle on top of the world, and it was like combining like the old eagle thing with like the actual globe. And then I could have sworn when it went to SmackDown, like maybe the eagle's there, but it doesn't spread its wings. I don't know.
It was a better title than I remember it as. And
I just could have sworn that like I remember seeing Lesnar hold it, and it looked like big in Lesnar's hands. And then when Eddie Guerrero had it, it looked small in his hand. But maybe I'm just remembering it weird.
Well, they do, if I'm not mistaken, I really do think this is a thing that they create a unique belt for each champion that is sized appropriately for them.
That'd be weird, but yeah, whatever. Either way, that one's good. It's got gold on it. It says champion in big words. It has your logo. It has the name of the company. It has a big plate for the name of the champion. It's got textured side plates. It's got a fucking eagle on it. Like, it's got it's got shooting stars on it. It's got big places for diamonds. It had like the diamonds around the word champion. If you want to get diamonds in there, that's how you do it. You don't go over the top with it. Like, the side plates could still be customizable if that's your thing. I don't really, side plates I think should just be there for additional gold plating aesthetic, but it looks like a world title belt. You can tell everything that's happening on it. Like, it is recognizable what is on it. Because I hate looking at a title belt and being like, oh my god, there's so much texture to it. Is that a fucking horse or is that a centaur? Is it a guy getting German suplexed on the fucking, like there's embroidery and a crown and a globe, and the globe is smaller than the crown, and like, what's going on?
God, just let me have it. My goodness, so many catastrophic things wrong with that, huh? I mean, it's overwhelming.
That's the one. If there's any one thing you could say about the the Universal title, like the current era belts with the giant rhinestone W's. The one thing about it is that they're clean. It's a clean design. It's not busy.
Yeah, it's open. It's visible. I agree that there are belts that have been really difficult to read, and it's unfun to look at them. And I actually thought the big gold belt was only good as the big gold belt. You know what I mean? It didn't matter
Right.
what was on it otherwise.
It's the shape.
So
I dig the shape of it. It looks like a belt
Mhm.
buckle.
I do like its size too, and I think
Yeah.
that's what Triple H liked as well, if you know what I mean. Well,
Sure.
it is now time, if you don't mind, to go back to a time when
For
Triple H
real
may
this
have
time,
been.
or are you gonna pump fake me?
I know. I think we can really move
Are you
on
sure you don't have
because
any more questions about the belt?
no,
What
I
about
think.
top 10 best belts thrown in a river?
Which one's your favorite Intercontinental belt? Go. I'm just kidding.
See, the problem is I don't even know what to name them, but I can tell you that for Intercontinental, the white belt sucks, and everyone who likes the white belt sucks too.
Ooh, I think I like the new one as much as I like that old Rob Van Dam referenced one I did a couple
Yeah.
minutes ago. I think the new one is really clean myself, actually.
I think
Um,
the best way I can describe it is it's the one that is an oval and it has a globe on it. That's the best Intercontinental title. It's simple, it's clean. I liked that belt more than I liked the world titles for a long time, but it's because I'd
mm,
only ever seen it like on TV. About a decade ago, I had actually Googled and looked them all up and like inspected them, and close up the IC title isn't as impressive as the world title, but it's clean, it's readable, it fits all the criteria I put before, so I like the oval one.
okay, good. I'm glad. That's one of my
All
favorites all time too.
right, one more belt topic, and then we'll tease.
Are you serious?
I'm making
I
fun of
can't.
you. You keep asking.
Well, that was fun. You really mounted up the necessity for us to think of one more belt question, but I'm really ready to move on.
Are you
Um,
sure? We can talk belts all night.
well, I think you all should talk belts with us. Leave comments. What are your favorite belts? What are your least favorite belts? Who wore them best? Who didn't? I don't
Unless your
know.
favorite belt is a white leather IC title belt, you can keep that to yourself.
Please.
Keep
Yes.
that to yourself.
No, don't even bother typing that out, please. We'll see how that goes. So, yeah, what made you want to talk about our first pay-per-views tonight?
I mean, I've been on a nostalgic track. I've been on a bit of a I don't know, feels, right? Like it's the current era of wrestling's been pretty tough. I don't think you've had much time to watch. I didn't have too much time to watch over the last 2 weeks, even after we did the legacy content last week. I mean, I sent you those MLW clips that are like 2 minutes each, and I can almost guarantee you've not watched them, right?
The only reason why I didn't is because I just saw that you had sent them to me
Oh,
as I was.
okay, yeah, no, a likely story. That makes sense.
I definitely don't lie.
I
So I
literally
would.
was telling you I'm sending them to you before I sent them to you.
Well, forgive me. I didn't know it was going to be immediately, and
but
then
but the
I
point,
closed my computer and moved on with my week. I'm sorry.
get Discord on your phone, chump. As it as it stands, though, that is a good, that's a good representation of just how busy the two of us have been. And so I figured not trying to stay weekly and relevant. Like there's so many podcasts, there's so many
Yeah.
other wrestling services that are like, let's break down every single segment from every single wrestling show, and we'll get you Jim Cornette or Dave Meltzer's opinion on every minute detail. And it's like, we don't need to do that. You're not coming to us for that.
No, it's true, and you shouldn't be because there are great professionals out there doing a great job on what culture wrestling. Not that they're paying us to say that, but I would like to talk about the personal aspects of the art form that inspire us and continue to remind us that we are and struggle not to be fans. Even when we can't pay attention. So going back in time and experiencing and re-discussing some classic events for us should be really fun. So I like the idea. I suppose that means I should probably present first, huh?
Well, chronologically, that would make the most.
That's fair. And yeah, I had primed you prior to this that 2005 was the year that I attended my first live show. I had been allowed to be a fan, truthfully, for like 3 years and hadn't made it to a pay per view yet. I had done a SmackDown show and it was wonderful. But I don't, I mean, I only remember I got to see Eddie Guerrero live, which was a great memory in retrospect. Anyway, this pay per view is fast forward to 2005, when
You're the
they
world's
performed.
biggest John Cena fan. I get it.
Oh, my company was right. The folks I would go and attend wrestling shows at this time, right?
Everybody
definitely.
was. This is like the last year it was okay to be a John Cena fan.
And let's see, I'm 17 years old. I don't know. That doesn't sound right, but I
No,
suppose it
I'm
was.
14, so you'd be like, no, you would be 17.
Hey.
I'm 13, 14.
Okay, so yeah, 17. And it's Vengeance 2005, and I think that is in July, back when they still did it in the precursor to SummerSlam days. And no, June, late June. And my friends and I, this is really at the peak of my young wrestling fandom, and we're just so excited to have decent quality seats that are essentially like right at the turnbuckle in front of the announcers station,
Wow.
And well, I mean, several rows back, like I'm not on the floor or anything.
Oh, I thought you
But
were like within the first 3 rows.
it was at Thomas and Mack Center, which is a smaller venue here in Las Vegas. Like they didn't have a ton of faith to sell a big building out, nor did they have many options to offer. And gosh, it wasn't really at Thomas and Mack, which is just crazy. It's such a small venue. And yeah, we were like on some decent bleachers, halfway up the section right behind the announcers or timekeepers area. No, other one. The other one, Spanish announce table. And it was a great view. So this evening, they did this really cool thing with the stage because I love wrestling stages. They're so important to them being able to remember something for me and events. And this stage had the Welcome to Las Vegas sign, of course, as the giant Titantron. And then the smaller Tron was a roulette wheel with the Vengeance logo spinning, And I remember also distinctly that this specific stage could not be precisely translated into any of the wrestling games at that time. Maybe because WWE or, Vegas owns the Welcome to Las Vegas sign and you can't just throw it into a game. But I always found that interesting when I look back in time. This was the one stage I only saw that night and when I look back at it.
I
So,
always assumed it was they didn't want kids to be doing Vegas-y things. Because I remember it was kind of weird when the Raw roulette wheel made it into a video.
and I was so thrilled it did, especially because I think it was a plot device for like story mode building. So
Yeah, it
which I
like
barely
wasn't
explored.
even it wasn't even like featured that prominently. I think the game after I really gave up on like the Raw versus SmackDown series, they might have had one where you could actually spin it or whatever. But yeah, it was just a plot device.
It was Here Comes the Pain that I think the Bischoff character actually did use it. So
Okay.
it was anyway. It
It was just
was
they always avoided gambling stuff.
yeah, interesting theory, but I don't know. It could be. Maybe you didn't want to throw that in a video game. Fair enough, but especially one rated teen. It's the teen rating. Oh,
Yeah,
you're so
like how many
smart.
video games? How many video games had Stone Cold Steve Austin catching beers? Basically none.
Did they not? Did they not?
Find me a clip. Someone out there, find me a clip of Stone Cold Steve Austin drinking beer in a video game.
Please, I'd love to see it. I mean, don't they do it in the in No Mercy of all things? I could think of the example in the Titantron. He's chugging beers.
Yeah, I think it makes it into a clip on. Aren't those still frames?
They are, yeah, yeah. That they just alternate. It's adorable.
Yeah, I think he
So
might.
funny.
They might get away with it in the Titantrons, and I think there is one video game where it pops up, but I don't think it. I don't remember it being like a thing that happens in a celebration in the game.
Mm.
There's. I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any video game post match celebrations of it, or no beer trucks. Like, I don't know.
So there you go, guys. Challenge accepted. Can you find an example of Stone Cold chugging beer in a wrestling video game, fluidly, like well animatedly, and clearly
Like actually
doing
the character doing it, not just a picture of it.
fair enough. So I don't know if you really wanted me to like lead up all the storylines to these matches or just walk you through them and try to remember what it felt like to watch them. But really, I was here for very specific matches. At this time in my fandom, I'm really into Shawn Michaels. He's one of my favorite wrestlers, especially now that JBL is done at doing his whole big thing. I know, guys, look, I get it, I hear you. Why would I like JBL? He's such an asshole and to so many people, and he's I'm sure he's narrowly avoiding being labeled as racist for various reasons deep inside. I don't know. I shouldn't throw all this out there, I guess. I don't know. There's a lot of heat on JBL, but
It's because he's a bully. He's a bad person in real life, and we can't separate it. We can't separate it from the character.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things where he's a bad person, and but as a younger me, I had the stupidest reasons for loving this character, and you guys can totally go back to our first episode because we covered it then. So I'm pretty sure we did anyway. So this was all about Shawn Michaels, and he had just had this incredible WrestleMania match, maybe my favorite match up to that point at that age, against Kurt Angle. And because you like to write multi-month programs when the wrestlers are talented and work together beautifully and have fantastic chemistry, as they displayed at WrestleMania, they had the heel lose heel win, sorry, on the grandest stage of them all to get us really fired up for a Shawn Michaels victory. So I was in line wanting tickets so that I could see Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels rematch in like the lead up to the co-main events of the evening, so to speak. Like it wasn't even the top match of the card, but it was pretty much the point where the quality matches, like that's where they were. The early part of the card's bad. For example, first match, tag team match for the World Tag Team titles. It's the Hurricane and Rosie, if you remember that. They're with Super Stacy.
Yeah, yep. She just got inducted into the Hall of Fame. Come on.
And she's one of the greatest public speakers I've seen present themselves at the Hall of Fame. My God, she was wonderful. And who doesn't love Stacy Keibler? And she still looks amazing. Not that anybody needs to hear me say that, because everybody could tell themselves. But she's just such a sweetheart, it seems, and incredibly intelligent, and gave a great speech. So go back and watch that if you missed it. It was maybe the highlight of the night, except for
You're saying the highlight of the night is Stacy Keibler?
I guess that's a little cliche, isn't it? So,
no, because that's Chris Jericho, baby.
Maybe for you, dude. But Stacy can be more watchable, I suppose.
No, you know the Chris Jericho catchphrase.
Baby.
No, the highlight of the night was his catch. Anyway,
that's just so 2000s Jericho. Like that's
when
Jericho.
Right before the highlight reel came along.
Sure. Yes, very baby Jericho. 2001 Jericho. We're a couple years beyond that. As a matter of fact, I don't think Jericho's in the picture at all at this point.
I think he had just left, actually.
Nope. No, he's about to. It's getting to that point. Okay, so
That's
here we go.
That's a pretty big reason why I stopped watching it. I just remember going
Mm.
like, this was the undisputed champion like 2 years ago, and now he can't pick up a fucking win next to Christian. Like he was feuding with Christian, it was lame, and he was a
Mhm.
job guy, and like he was doing his job to put people over as a veteran, but they had nothing for him, and I was like, how do you have nothing for Jericho, bro?
He is the Jericho, so I don't know how you cannot have something to write when he provides so much content himself. He's a genius for that, and we definitely, like we've discussed many times, how he's in both of our top threes essentially for all-time greatest wrestler. Um, and certainly somebody we've followed our whole wrestling lives. Like he's maybe the icon. Whenever who's left anyway. Okay, it's the Hurricane and Rosie with Super Stacy facing off with the heartthrobs of all people, guys. Got a pay-per-view spot at one point. The heartthrobs, Antonio and Romeo, who don't even have last names. So they're legitimate challengers. Um and this match was, I mean, it's as forgettable as it sounds. I remember nothing of it except stand back, there's a hurricane coming through, and then that they drop that sick beat. We all know that stuff. Mob to that. And I'm sure there's a remix. I gotta look it up. So nothing to discuss there. Carlito at this point is the Intercontinental Champion, and he's about to wrestle. Oh, point is, I'm sorry, I should have said this. The Hurricane and Rosie win. I mean, I guess it was obvious. I trashed the other guys for not even having last names. You guys got it, right? Cool. Nobody
Hey,
cares.
the Hurricane doesn't have a last name. He just has an honorific.
Right.
Rosie doesn't even have that. Come on now.
No, he's known as the SHIT. Yeah, so poor guy. And by the way, may he rest in peace, and sad, very premature loss.
And why you
He
gotta
is
be a bummer?
Well, because it's important to pay tribute to those we've
Are
lost.
you gonna pay
There
tribute
was,
to every single dead wrestler on the card, though? Come on.
dude, that's what people do sometimes. You just gotta pay respects. You pour one out, you recognize the performers who did something and are no longer with us, and especially after I just told you how forgettable the match was. Like, sorry. Just saying.
Let's keep it light. Let's keep it positive.
Okay, I love how funny Hurricane always is, and I love how long Stacy's legs always are. And
Okay,
that
less
was
creepy.
the
Less creepy. Tone it down. Let's bring it back.
take 20% off the top there, right? Squirrely dub. Well, let's move on to the next matches. There was Carlito as Intercontinental Champion facing Shelton Benjamin in what is, from my memory, one of the more um, high chemistry feuds in that mid card in that era. Um, and I love Shelton Benjamin. You know how much I love Shelton Benjamin. I'm definitely buying a ticket partially to watch Shelton Benjamin at this era, because this is before he went gold standard in ECW and somehow lost credibility. Despite, I think, actually almost, no, he never won the ECW title, which is just another way of robbing him. Or I should look it up, but
Ain't
I
no
don't think he did.
robbing me, no.
I was the biggest Shelton mark, and you know this. I totally was. Wished for him to win everything. He was my most underrated wrestler of the era, and I don't think I was alone in that. So
I
I wanted to.
definitely, I definitely remember not wanting Carlito to win this. I don't
Mhm.
know how much of that was due to liking Shelton Benjamin, but I know that I remember thinking that Carlito has nothing on Shelton Benjamin,
Right.
and
Hmm.
it it's so sad that this did not end in a program where Shelton became IC champion on his way to becoming world champ.
Well, Shelton had only one thing missing from his toolkit overall, perhaps two, but the biggest one that I think everybody would agree on is his lack of flashy, charismatic character outside of being the upstart athlete, you know?
Dude, you can build around that. I've never liked that excuse. If a guy doesn't have good mic skills, we've had plenty of top stars with that problem.
Sure. I mean, we're looking at you, King Kong Bundy,
Yeah.
all
I
the
mean,
way.
Lesnar, right, has tons of physical charisma, so you can make excuses around stuff like that, but like there you could have done something with him.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Maybe it fails, maybe it doesn't, but you could at least try, especially the way that they pass around world championships between 2008 and 2015.
you could see them flirting with it too at several segments of his
Yes.
run around this time. He was flirting with it.
He
And
has like a match of the year with the Shawn Michaels that every fucking highlight reel always includes.
it's a spot of the year, I think. And it was at the time. I mean, with Shelton Benjamin's chin, he changed the industry. If you guys
Yep.
don't remember, this moment we were referencing, one of the biggest and most memorable athletic moments of my fandom to that point was Shelton in a match with Shawn Michaels, of course, the other artist I'm enamored with at this era. Um, he Shelton Benjamin is on the outside of the ring on the apron in this match with Shawn Michaels, preparing to do a springboard maneuver of some kind
It's
from
a phenomenal forearm, basically.
clear across the ring, he does. Like clear across the ring from where Shawn is, who is in the other corner pulling himself up because they've had a physical match. They've gone for a decent, raw length, probably like 15 minutes. They've had a commercial break. They're winding it down. And Shelton goes for this ill-fated, goodness knows what maneuver off a springboard leap on that top rope. Like, so, we've seen guys do this in the cruiserweight level, and he's a legitimate, like, light heavyweight, and hops to that top rope, vaults off, and eats a sweet chin music out of midair that literally looked like the man was shot and killed in the middle of the ring. Great spot, sold it perfectly. Great way to end the match. Both men look better, and yes, it is on every highlight reel that I can imagine of at least the last 20 years. I'm sure you've seen that moment. And now everybody has attempted to copy that, especially in AEW and NXT, right?
Everybody does a
Everybody.
springboard. Everybody does a super kick. It's only a matter of time before you eat a super kick off your springboard.
I don't know if he's the first guy to eat that spot, but it was the biggest mainstream example of it at that point, and man, it made Shelton for a decent time.
And it
That
was a finish. It was a finisher. It wasn't just some dipshit doing a super kick. It was the sweet chin music.
But in classic WWE pay-per-view fashion, if you care about somebody that much, it's pretty believable they could lose and you'd get away with it with the crowd. So, as blessed as Shelton is athletically at this era and as high up the card as many of us legitimately hoped he would be, he did not win this match, and Carlito did take him out, most likely with some sort of cheating because Carlito, and he retains his Intercontinental title. But it was a 12-minute, 47-second match, and that is good for fourth longest on the card, which I suppose isn't that big a deal. There's only 7 matches. Wow. I tried to put it over. Well, Victoria stepped into the ring next against Christy Hemme in what can only be described as a simple singles match.
And let me guess, it got less than 8 minutes.
Well, it did. It was a 5-minute and 11-second match.
Damn, you remember the exact time?
No, I'm on Wikipedia, and
Oh,
that's a statistic it offers me.
I could have been edited by anyone.
True, you're right. For all I know, some cyber terrorist out there is thinking that he could really cause maximum chaos if he goes in and modifies the correct length of times that matches are in professional wrestling history books just to drive us wild.
Just to make women's wrestlers of the past look bad. Shaking my damn head.
Cool. Well, I like the universe you're living in, I suppose. This is why I talk to it at least 2 hours a week. So this match is clearly not important and memorable, despite the fact that Victoria at the era as we all know, uh, uh, fans like me, um, Victoria was an incredibly important cornerstone of that division at the time, and one of the key women's champions and mentors to so many as a bit of a ring general for women at that era. And rightfully, well, actually, has she made it into the Hall of Fame yet? I'm waiting for it.
Victoria, probably not. She finished up a lot of her career in other companies, and she's no Mickey James.
Please, you're kidding me. Victoria's a total Hall of Famer waiting to happen. If with all
Considering the standards with which they put people in the Hall of Fame, I would agree.
yeah. Well, there you go. I'm sorry. Past practice says that if you made an impact to so many people, like for whatever reason, you're in. That's kind of the statistic. It's like who just sticks in your brain. Um, and so yeah, like they're definitely deserving of that. And Christy Hemme built quite a decent wrestling career for herself off of a Divas Search win. Fiery, semi-psychotic, typically type of redhead character. And never really did, for my money, if I'm being honest, anything in ring that made me think she was extremely talented. But still made a great career out of it and is a great character actress for wrestling, at least in wrestling terms. I'm sure would you like to weigh in on the participants at all, or have I already spent more time discussing a 5 minute and 11-second match than I should have?
Well, I mean, just as far as nostalgia goes, Christy Hemme was like the first time I remember going, oh, they really just don't give a shit about them actually wrestling. Like, there's definitely times where it's like clear that the women like weren't wrestlers, and they started to like become more of a thing as I was watching and growing up with it. But Christy Hemme was the first time where it was like, oh, she just shouldn't be wrestling.
There you go.
Like Lita and Trish had kind of made that transition. All the other women's matches and women's title stuff was brand new, so you didn't know what to critique. You're like, I guess this is just how women fight, and Sable wasn't particularly much of a wrestler either, so it was all balanced out. But when you put Christy Hemme in the ring with Victoria, it makes you really go, Jesus, we shouldn't do this.
Well, that's why it was brief. Get out and go home, ladies.
Yeah, you can have your eye candy. I'm not against that. It just don't have it wrestle. What's the point of that?
Oof. Who wins this one then?
Well, it's got to be Victoria, unless Christy Hemme had some mean girl help her cheat. But I don't even remember Christy Hemme as a heel in WWE.
That's right. She was a good girl all the way, and she did fall to Victoria, who is, on the cusp or really floating around like the best run of her life at this point. And then fourth match of the night is Kane going one-on-one with Edge, who is accompanied by Lita at this point.
Ew.
Wrestling. I think this is the lead up, to when we see Matt Hardy again. Actually,
well, this is like Edge has rescued Lita from Kane at this point, right? He's like post miscarriage.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah,
True.
This whole stuff was also really bad. This was the whole Kane and Lita thing really, really made me tune out as a kid. Like on that subliminal, I don't really understand what's going on, and no human being, like no adult can explain it to me. And I just was like, all right, I don't care.
Yikes. Okay. Well, it was an awkward and cringy storyline, and this whole time is pretty prolific for me because I'm pretty sure this is just weeks away from Matt Hardy returning and, putting on the real heat of the situation that he and Adam Copeland and Lita, Amy Dumas, faced in real life together, with that love triangle thing.
Also,
that was
very cringe.
Right before that awkward phase. So yeah, this is really at the cringiest point. It's true. And that's part of what was making this era of Edge, the biggest star that he was how cringy so much of his content was to
Oh,
certain parts of the audience.
even back then, I remember seeing the way that like a lot of the divas, I guess this is right pre divas era, but like I remember seeing like how Christy Hemme and Lita and even Edge to an extent, and who else am I thinking of? Ashley Massaro, I think, and like one other. Like there's just so many like really awkward late 2000s like rocker fashion that just looked so bad. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, yeah, this kind of thrown together skateboard chick look, right?
Yeah, like I wouldn't even call it skatery. Like it's just like they all have like the same like hair sprayed down hair and it's all swept to one side and it's like trying super hard not to be emo. It's like pre pompadour, like before they brought back like the high pomp kind of a thing. Like it's trying hard to be like, yeah, metal, bro. Like Edge looked goofy too. Like they didn't look like they just I don't know, they did not look good. It looked very weird. I do not know why people dressed like. I'm not really the fashion guy, so you know it's bad if it sticks out to me.
Ouch. True. You're right. This guy has 3 Daniel Bryan shirts, and I've seen them all.
I don't even wear them anymore. Actually, it was only two. It was
It's
the beard is here and respect the beard.
right.
That's it.
Exactly. And then you still wear your soft. We covered that last week. Oh my God.
Yeah, I only wear that stuff around the house though. All the cats have put holes into it, but
Mm,
yeah, I just remember Lita wearing like armbands and with the titties out all the time and
right.
the speed I called it the speed bump. That's it. I used to make fun of girls at my school cuz they'd have like it's not like a pomp, but it's like it's just like the hair like pulled back and then pushed up a bit. I don't know even like the right word for it. But it just looks like you
Ooh.
have a speed bump on your head.
It's like the lawn-haired version of the Karen cut for many people. It is a bit. I know exactly what you're talking about from your description, so I'm hoping other people are visualizing and we don't need to dissect that hairstyle anymore.
Yeah, like
But
there's just like an artificial bit of verticality to it for basically no reason.
so like most of the cast of Full House,
Maybe yeah, like more slanted,
either way, we're too
acting like I've
into
ever
that.
seen Full House. Jesus Christ,
Well,
it
I
doesn't know
was
me at
just
all.
checking. Okay, got it. Old school sitcoms. Scratch that off of Sam's potential playbook. I have not watched them either. To be fair, I did not watch the Full Houses. I think I did the
Either
remake
way,
for. It
the
has
point
nothing to do with wrestling.
yeah the point stands is that Edge should not wear a beanie with a Sex Pistols T-shirt ever.
I'm way to zero in on the details. Kane gets to win this match, which is what's interesting to me because I don't remember too many times Kane beats upper mid carders / main eventers nice and
And
cleany.
and
Um,
somehow they turned a rapist into the good guy. That's how shitty of a person Edge is.
Excellent job. Friendly reminder of how cringy the entire storyline was. Eee.
Yeah.
Let's move on because this is when the good stuff happens. Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle running it back from WrestleMania, and this match is so good. I remember loving every second of it live and really being excited for two of my favorite wrestlers in what I had to hope was going to be a Shawn Michaels victory to get that win back from WrestleMania and inspire a third match between these two greats. But hey, I'm getting to see this one live. And man, we had a great view. I do now remember a little bit more where we were sitting, and we were higher up than I was putting over earlier. Um, we were so
You see yourself in the crowd.
yes. Now I'm remembering because there's this wonderful spot. I'm almost certain, and I hope I'm not getting confused between events, guys, because I'm not perfect. But I think there's this wonderful spot where Shawn Michaels does the moonsault off the apron to Kurt Angle, who's standing in front of the announce table,
It's called
and
an
Kurt.
acai moonsault.
Thank you. Acai. I had
Acai
to.
moonsault.
Uh, yes. He performs this move. towards Kurt Angle, who dodges it, and Shawn goes crashing through the table. I'm pretty sure that's what happens. Super painful looking spot. Anyway, love the match. Great classic. It is the longest match of this show, almost. I mean, not almost as long as the main event. They go 26 minutes. Like, yeah, if you like wrestling, then that should sound like one of the most exciting things you could ask for. If you're like me, and this match was everything that I had hoped it would be. Two fantastic storytellers in ring doing great work. So I mean, what about you? Wouldn't you be excited to see Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle run it back from a WrestleMania match in which Kurt had won the first round?
Unfortunately, I have to admit that I was not quite a Kurt Angle fan at this time. I was very schmixed on, Kurt Angle's identity. And I remember as a kid, I remember in this time period talking with my friends and being like, I want to see the guy actually do technical stuff, but he does too much non-technical stuff because he's working heel so often. Almost every time I see him, he's a heel. He's, when he's doing technical wrestling, it's to like ground Eddie Guerrero as a foil, right? As to get the the contrast of styles. And in between that, all of the heel stuff is just stomps and kicks. And like, I just remember thinking that guy, like what I want and like the way people talk about Kurt doesn't add up. Like people will describe Kurt Angle as a wrestler, and then when I watch his matches, it's just punches and stomps and shoulder tackles. It on pay-per-view maybe it would come out more, but I was not a Kurt fan at this time, and I've gone back and watched stuff, and as an adult with a better appreciation, I can say it's always quality. But I don't remember being hyped for this one.
Well, at the end of the day, everybody's different, and that's what makes wrestling so cool. For me, I just knew this was going to be a show, and I truly enjoyed it. Favorite match of the night, and Shawn Michaels did get his win back, did get to push to a rubber match with Kurt Angle. And I was just so grateful to get to see the contest live. It was fun, memorable enough that I can actually remember where I was sitting. That's embarrassing, but it's true. It took me a while to remember the vantage point. But,
were you on the top level? Because there's 2 levels only, Thomas and I guess unless you count floor level. But were you still on like the bottom level, or were you in the top level?
I was on the top level, I think.
You were like the first row of the top level?
I mean, I'm not going to go that high. I think I was near the back of the lower level from that.
Because the top level's pretty high up.
How interesting can that possibly be to hear me hem and haw about at this point?
Well, to give people an idea of where you were, because you started out sounding like you're fucking ringside. Now it's right. Like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. I was actually kind of far back. And next we're going to find out you're bleeding from the nose.
I had binoculars the entire time.
Yeah, you're just like, wow, look at that one speck go and run into that other speck. Exciting. I can hear the ring.
It's what I feel like WrestleManias must be like, guys. I mean, please, I know folks have said that the experience is phenomenal. I do have a few friends who've gone to one recently.
Probably concert goers.
But I want to know what you guys think. Have you been to a WrestleMania, and are the big stadiums worth it if you're back there, like in the nosebleeds? Please put that down on in the comments. I'm curious. Tell us about your experience. I would really like to know. Is it worth splurging whatever you paid for that? Excuse me. Gross. Didn't mean to burp on audio, but
it didn't pick it up until you said something.
Well, I hope you guys enjoy knowing there's an Easter egg on the other side of that audio clip.
Knowing that there's no kayfabe left. Shaking my damn head.
Kayfabe, the king of kayfabe. Absolutely. Yeah. The top of the mountain.
I can say... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to transition to the next match because the kayfabe king at that time was quite iconic to us. Go ahead.
So I can say going back, right? Like going back and having watched this match in the last year, this match is really good. And... It does feel like it goes on for a while if it's the one I'm remembering for Shawn and Kurt Vengeance 2005. but
Yeah.
it is one of the best matches I think Kurt Angle's ever had in his career.
Which is typical fare for Shawn Michaels.
For Shawn Michaels, yeah. If Shawn on his farewell tour, where
Dude.
Shawn Michaels, when he's not competing with you for a spot, ooh, that's some real good Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, he's being selfless and just helping to put you over. You know, I think that post return Shawn, 2002 and later Shawn is one of the greatest entities in professional wrestling I can imagine. I don't know why anyone can't appreciate what he did during that era, all the way up to his retirement. So, I hope we're all Shawn Michaels fans out there. If you're Brett people, put it in the comments so I can find out how many of you there are still left in the world. And let's see. Let's do John Cena, of course, on top of the mountain as the WWE champion at this point.
Spoiler, Cena wins, LOL.
True. How'd you know?
Every Cena match this year.
Do you know what this match is? Do you know what I'm about to tell you was the contest?
It's Jericho's last match.
That's your guess. Okay, cool. You don't know for sure. Good. I was going to ask, yeah, that's a pretty good guess. His last match was on Raw, however, not too long after this. But this is right in that area you're discussing where he's kind of just doing his best with who? Who's in the pit with him? Like, generally around him around this era you were just talking shit about?
I was just talking shit about his feud with Christian, so are they back together?
There it is. Good job. Christian is the third man in this triple threat match.
Oh, they're enemies. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think they are enemies at this
Frenemies,
stage.
you gotta team up on John Cena anyway.
I'm pretty sure that's precisely what happens, and that's what makes it especially effective when, theoretically anyway, when John Cena goes over. Probably pinning not Jericho, but Christian. He's just there to eat the pin, and Jericho's like, "Come on, baby! I'm the best in the world. I don't want to be giving up losses to Cena anymore, ass clown." So they put Christian in the match so he can eat the finish, I bet you. I'd have to look that up to actually prove my point. But if you remember the actual outcome of the match, I could, of course, be benefited by watching the highlights as we talk about the show. But if you remember the finish of the match, put it in. But
stop asking for comments. It's desperate.
Oh, dang.
You can plug it one time. You get engagement plugs one time, bro.
I meant you putting it in the Discord chat. Remind me what happened.
I thought you were asking people to comment. I was like,
man, you're making me feel terrible about myself. This is just classic like friendship for me. This is my definition. Somebody's trolling me. All right, guys. Cena wins, and
LOL.
that's that. It's a 15-minute match. It's not entirely memorable between the two main events because the final match of the night is a really good one for memorable imagery. It is the big gold belt up for grabs, but it's not Triple H defending. He's chasing the title this time. Can you guess who might be the champion then? And in June 2005, World Heavyweight title, big gold belt. I guess you can't, Sam. It is
I'm trying.
the Animal, Batista. Yes.
Oh, Batista went in as champion?
Yes, he is in this match as champion, and it's not just any match. It's Hell in a Cell.
That part I did know.
There you go. And these guys have a 26-minute, 53-second absolute slugfest. Both guys juice. I recall this. There's use of a chair. I think there's barbed wire wrapped around it. Like, we were really excited about that.
That's definitely spotted in one of theirs.
And there's definitely the sledgehammer that I'm fairly certain comes into play in the final spot. As a matter of fact, it's one of those rare moments where Triple H actually lifts the sledgehammer, looking as if he's going to use it to escape Batista's Batista bomb, and then Batista drops him and pins him before he can actually use it. Love the finish. Such a fun match. Really peak Batista. Really peak Hell in a Cell. One of the last brutal Hell in a Cells in my memory. So one of really great way to send us home. And that was my first ever pay-per-view, and that was a match I thought super befitting of like the gravitas of the evening, getting to finally see something on that level.
This is a good one. This is definitely a good match. I was just so tuned out of wrestling at this point and like watching basically the same storyline play out, and I was not a fan of like the big dudes and Batista. This is right when Batista started to actually add stuff to his repertoire, I feel, and like focus on other elements of wrestling than just being the hot tag for Ric Flair, the heater for Triple H, and doing that same running power slam that Braun Strowman did as a finisher and is just one of the most boring moves of all time.
Yeah.
I remember people would play Batista and Here Comes the Pain, the video game, right? And like do that move and it takes forever, and I'm like, it's so boring. Like it just people just do it over and over to me to tilt me because it looks boring. But I mean, when you're that big, right? Like, and it's a safe move. Like, it's not bad for him to utilize. It's just he would do it multiple times a match, man. You could just tell he ran out of stuff to do. So, going back and watching a lot more Batista again. This is right when I really started to tune out of wrestling. You become like an adult, right? You're getting like older, and it's losing the luster that it had when you were a kid. On top of the fact that like the company was just going in a more and more safe PG, no competition era. So I remember checking out for most of this year, but I was still hanging out with my friends who were talking about wrestling, and I remember them wanting to talk to me about it, and I just had no interest in Batista as champion. But after this, he becomes a lot more interesting.
Wow. Okay. That's as glowing an endorsement as one could hope for if you're Batista from Sam Tate. So cool. I just remember Batista. I've already said this a million times. What's my favorite Batista move?
That running power slam that I just talked about.
No, gosh. I guess I guess you don't remember anything we talk about.
I don't remember anything related to Batista.
His phenomenal spine buster. He had a very unique.
That's such a normie answer.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks. Okay. So that was my first pay-per-view ever, and I am excited to see if I can guess. Well, not guess. I'm pretty sure I know that I was at your first pay-per-view ever. So fill me in. Where was it, and what was it?
So of course it's in the same place, the Thomas and Mack Center, but it's No Way Out 2008. So here in Vegas, we had another pay-per-view a couple years later. I'm sure we had one in between, but this was a very last-minute decision for me. I ended up getting nosebleed seats way at the top. I think I spent like $90-something on it. Got completely fucking ripped off. I was literally two rows from the fucking ceiling. And wrestling was coming to town. Some of my high school friends who had, known and like we'd reference wrestling and try to give each other stone cold stunners and RKOs out of nowhere were just like deciding to go because it was in town, and we didn't get tickets together at all. So I sat completely by myself. It was just kind of a nightmare. I was just excited because Jeff Hardy was back in WWE, sorry, at this time. And I was excited to see that. I was excited to see an Elimination Chamber for the first time, and I got treated to two of them, if I remember correctly. It's been a hot minute. This was like the first time they did two, right?
Oh, this was
maybe not the first time, but yeah, it was. You got your World Heavyweight Championship and your WWE Championship. Oh no, these weren't even for titles. These were for number one contenderships, which is also corny as fuck.
What? I thought you'd be enjoying that because it's pretty epic. These are big.
It's clearly a step down from an actual title match. Come on.
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't take away from the quality of what can be done in the ring and the drama that will build from just the
Ah,
chosen superstars,
ah,
especially. Don't bah me. You read
ah.
the participants in these matches are truly some of the best of the best. Oh wait, no. No, never mind. There's some real mistakes in here. But yes, I remember being super excited about this pay-per-view as well and totally planning months and months in advance to watch it because yes, Jeff Hardy was back as well. I was just as hyped because they were treating him like a fringe main event star. And it's about the era where he I think has, if not, I'm not mistaken, at least once been champion, right?
Yeah, and this is also about the time Chris Jericho was making a return. It was also a big favorite of mine, and this was going to be like a great way to just drop back into wrestling. Get the juices flowing again. Go see my first ever live event, and getting to the venue is a hassle. We're sitting outside in this giant fucking line. Randy Orton did pop his head outside and say, "Hey, what are you guys all waiting in line for?" When everyone like lost their shit because I guess Randy Orton existing is a big deal to them. Um, and yeah, I remember the line was so long. I missed the pre-show match. I missed the dark match.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't stop to get concessions. I was literally just in line, and
Boo.
so I did not see Kane versus Shelton Benjamin, which was the dark match. I only remember it because Kane's music had hit, and I think he did his pyro after the match. I can't remember, but I do know that I was at the seat and it's so far away and I can barely see anything. I remember feeling the flames from
Wow.
pyro and being amazed at how far you could feel it, distance. You could feel the heat on your face.
I agree with you. I do remember at that event having some pretty darn decent seats way up in the nosebleeds and feeling the heat as well. And I'll never forget that too. It really does happen and you do get the chill when the mists are happening, guys. If you're watching like the Undertaker enter, you get chills. Like these environmental effects really do happen, and Kane's pyro just must be so massively powerful, you know,
Yeah.
because you do feel it from the whole place. And the same can be said when Seth Rollins does his thing right now, or Booker T.
Undertaker. I think it was for me, it was actually Undertaker. Every time the
Mm.
flames would go up.
Yeah, it's amazing. Fire's a thing, guys. It
Fire
changes.
is a thing. Quote that. Put that on a mug.
Yeah, fire's a thing.
But yeah, so I do remember the opening match was Chavo Guerrero versus CM Punk. And there's two very interesting things about this. One, I had no idea who CM Punk was and thought he was a generic vampire jobber because they had that one dude who was on ECW TV. Was it Ethan Hawke or something like that? He had just
Kevin Thorne.
Kevin Thorne. That's it. Yeah, I just remember thinking like, is this guy like part of some Ravens flock knockoff? He looked like he was not a main eventer.
Dude, Ethan Hawke, like the like Red Hawk Down actor, that's hilarious.
I don't fucking know, bro. There's almost definitely a fucking pro wrestler named Ethan Hawke or
Justin Hawk Bradshaw, I think, was a thing. But keep
something.
going.
Whatever. The point is the point is that maybe it's Ethan
Uh,
Page I'm thinking of. Either way, the point is that I just remember thinking like it's like a totally random dude. Like I wasn't watching wrestling at the time, and the entrance and the gear and like nothing really clicked. I didn't have any lead up. I think they run the promo package on the video, right? And I'm like, okay, I kind of get what this guy's about, but he fucking lost to Chavo Guerrero. Like that is
mm,
not a great not a great great look. That's not a great way to introduce yourself. Also, I remember I was probably wrong about it because I'm pretty sure Chavo was the heel in this, but I remember him doing like Eddie's taunt with the shoulder shakes and the Three Amigos, and like as someone coming back to wrestling, I was just like, fuck this guy.
oh
So
yeah. You didn't want either of these guys to win, really.
yeah, and then the other thing that was really interesting about this was one of the few people I knew who was going to the event, again, not that any of us sat together, brought a sign with him that said, "Ew, Chavo," just like his opening theme song.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was super
Absolutely.
clever.
Nice. Ew.
Ew, Chavo. Like
I
that's.
mean, go ahead.
I just that's what I always think of whenever I think of Chavo Guerrero. It's
Yeah,
just his music would hit, and we'd all go, "Ew."
that's totally fair, brother. I actually, that reminds me, I took a sign to the Vengeance show, and all my friends were making fun, not making fun of it, but like giving me props. I had this huge sparkly HBK sign, if I remember correctly, and I think I did get on camera. Um, and I was really proud that I at least made a sign in my my wrestling history. So, you've never taken a sign, right? You've just had
No.
that. That's the one time you accompanied someone who had, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I knew someone, right? Like we weren't even sitting together.
Mm-hmm.
There was surprisingly like almost no signs at this. Like I remember going and thinking like, oh, I'd see people in line with signs, but I didn't see anyone with signs while we were waiting outside. I didn't see too many signs at the venue that I remember. I was looking for my friend's Il Chavo sign and I never saw it. Like that's how far away I was from everyone else because he'd be doing it during the entrance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do remember this is kind of well, I'll talk about it later, but there are some signs that were surprising of the few that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
But that's for like later match. Um, as far as the opener goes, it was pretty unremarkable. I couldn't really see much of what was going on from how far away I was, and I didn't really know who CM Punk was, and I just remember thinking it's got to be a weird world where Chavo Guerrero is the Extreme Championship Wrestling World Champion, and also it's not a hardcore match, so I didn't give a shit.
I'll say it's a very strange world indeed. Definitely
ECW
off-putting.
in name only, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. We're in that era, and it's nauseating. But CM Punk was one of the bright spots. I definitely remember that. I found him refreshing even at that era. I wasn't confused enough to think of him as Kevin Thorne's, clone.
Yeah. I remember
Uh,
when you and I started watching wrestling together like 3 or 4 years later. I had to have someone explain to me why CM Punk is a big deal. I didn't even remember that he was a guy I watched wrestle live.
oh man, that's too bad. Yeah, he made an impact on me immediately. So,
Yeah.
um, definitely disappointing, however, to see him lose this because it's true. Like I have a feeling I
It was
didn't now.
just like it was a very generic like back and forth match, and then Punk whiffs a Frankensteiner and eats a frog splash, and I just I'm like, who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? Nobody's wrestling heel, nobody's wrestling face, no one's doing anything recognizably signature. The
Mm,
pacing was just I don't know. It's been a while. I could be totally wrong. I could go back and watch that match, and it's a instant classic. But I just remember the crowd being fucking dead.
oh, rough. Well, yeah. Sad. I think that's just a testament to how early we were in CM Punk's run and how how can I put this kindly,
It
not
wasn't even a
over.
10-minute match. What can you do?
Right,
You can't
exactly.
fucking tell a real story in 8 minutes.
As I was about to say, Chavo just wasn't that over. And yeah,
Yeah.
it was a brief match. You can carry us into the next one, which I was an elimination chamber match. Do you remember which one?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is Undertaker's Elimination Chamber match, like a SmackDown, right?
Yep.
And this was super, super funny because I remember there was some kids talking some shit
Sure.
about something or other. I don't remember. Just kids talking to anybody at an event. And I remember saying like, it's just gonna come down like it's just gonna be Undertaker versus. And because I don't even know if I recognized Big Daddy V as Viscera until he came out. Like, because again, I went into this so blind. I might have watched like one episode of Weekly Wrestling before going into this or whatever, but
Wow.
like I just remember going, it's Undertaker, Batista, Finley, MVP, The Great Khali, and Big Daddy V. there's only two of these guys are actual stars, and only two of these guys are like real world champions. I'll just say it. And I was a little surprised at how long this took because none of these guys are fucking cardio dudes. You have nobody here. Like, MVP is your dude to carry the in between spots. That's your workhorse. Everyone else in this match is so slow, dude.
Oof. Sorry to hear it, but I agree that was a very plotting paced match, and yeah, I do remember it having a very awkward like layout. It's definitely not one of the best elimination chamber matches of all time, but the contest between Taker and Batista that yes makes up the conclusion really did kind of what's the word redeem it for
Yeah,
me.
I remember in person. I've of course watched this back, years ago when the network first dropped. I'm sure I watched this in like first 10 pay-per-views I watched because it was the one I went to in person. And
Right.
what I remember about it in person is I couldn't see shit. And it was really interesting because like at some point the elimination chamber door flies open, like it gets like knocked open. And I remember thinking like, oh, this is a chance for some bullshittery. This is, the time where some heels are gonna show up and interfere. And it didn't happen. It seemed like it was just a mistake.
Right.
It didn't seem like it was supposed to happen the way they just kind of like, oh shit, close the door. And I couldn't see anything, and it's super funny that I could not tell who was winning. Like they did like the final spot, which is actually like a really neat looking spot if you watch it on TV, the way wrestling is meant to be watched.
Yeah.
You can see that they like flip over the corner, they flip over the top rope, and Taker like reverses a hold into the tombstone. Right, he does the tombstone after they flip over. It's very reminiscent of his Brock Lesnar match. But this time they go over a top rope and he plants him in the middle. And it's just a really cool way to buy that spot. But I could not tell who won until they played the music at the end.
Oh no, I'm so sorry you had such a poor like vision for this, but I will say that does seem believable that it's not very good for the live crowd in terms of seeing, you're watching the screens really to
And
follow the action best.
and I'm as far away as possible, right? Um
Yeah, that doesn't help.
yeah, and then I definitely remember the crowd was not up for the Chavo CM Punk match at all. They got pretty excited when the chamber was coming down, but it took so fucking long for the match to actually start. And then the match started with the only two guys you care about. It started
Mm,
with Taker and Batista and it ended with Taker and Batista. And it, like I said, I couldn't really tell what was going on. This is supposed to be about the live experience. I won't really talk too much about the match. And I can't really remember it. I didn't go back and watch this pay-per-view to like refresh my memory because it's not about that. It's about the iconic experience of a young boy getting fleeced out of $92 to go look at the back of someone else's head in a fucking nosebleed seat for 3 hours.
it's something that becomes more enjoyable as you age. It's true. It is that you recognize the momentous nature of your attendance at some of these things.
Or you just remember that you need to go with friends so you can talk to someone during the show because there's no commentary and there's so
Mm,
much downtime in between stuff when they're cleaning things up and preparing for the next segment and all that other garbage. Like, I think wrestling without commentary is painful to watch. It's surprisingly like the sound effects and stuff are cool, how loud they are. I can feel the fire on my face. That's neat. But like the live experience just didn't offer much at all.
and
It takes
that is
away so much.
good critique. As somebody, I think we both are people who appreciate the power of a microphone. I think we miss that. We miss that connection to the art form a little bit. And that's true. A live experience can be altered dramatically without commentary and not necessarily for the better. So, bear that in mind as a fan when you go, if you haven't already.
Like, it's something I was aware of. It didn't really dawn on me till I got there, but I was like aware of the no commentary thing. It just ended up being so much weirder than I thought it was gonna be.
What I don't understand is why WWE doesn't offer like headsets or a radio station where you can tune in to live events and hear the commentators do their thing. I think that'd be a really smart choice.
Because it would take away from the crowd atmosphere. It's supposed to be a live event atmosphere. You're supposed to want to be there and feed off the energy of the other people in the crowd. It's supposed to be a cacophonous applause when something good happens. And I think that people would immediately critique the low energy of crowds based on people putting, people taking out their phone is already something that, people will talk about. Oh, well, the energy is just not the same. And it's like, well, okay, yeah, back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, right? You go to a show and there's nothing else to do but focus on the show. So you're trying your hardest to be engrossed in it. I can understand why they wouldn't really want to do that, but I would definitely prefer that experience.
Interesting. Well,
but I'm a guy who's realized I don't like going to live events.
Oh, that makes me sad to hear you say that, because I just got you tickets to a show you don't want now.
You're super full of shit. So the end of this match was cool, but it as far as like an actual live viewing experience, you cannot cheap out on seats. I'm sure if you're ringside, it's totally different. When I've gone to indie shows here in Vegas and stuff, being that up close and being able to like look up at the ring does offer a little bit more to the experience, right? Obviously, if you've got the shittiest seat in the world, that's going to change things. Compound that with the Elimination Chamber, and it's a waste of your time and money.
Harsh critique. Hot take. There it is, folks. Don't waste your money on cheap seats for Elimination Chamber. Invest or stay home. Okay?
Especially if it's going to be watching like the 4 fattest wrestlers on the fucking card with the over the hill Undertaker and Batista. Like, Batista's the most in shape guy, right? Like, he's the most limber guy in the match. We're probably in for a rough one.
Not a good match, I do recall. Yeah, and
it was interesting because of all this stuff going wrong. The door.
And boy, I'm so sorry, but Big Daddy V should have never happened, if you ask me.
Yeah, true.
Oh God, such a bad character choice.
Next up was a match that was super confusing as someone who's coming back, and it's like on the same level of like, I wasn't a big Mr. Kennedy fan, so when he fought Ric Flair and they ran the video package where it's a career-threatening match, I was like, well, there's no fucking way Mr. Kennedy is winning this. It just spoiled any and all suspense. And again, this is a match where it's so short. The story is Mr. Kennedy works on Ric Flair's leg and then loses to a gotcha figure 4. Like, it does some good character work, but I couldn't tell from where I was sitting. That's something I only know because I went back and watched it on Peacock years later and grew an appreciation for a lot of this stuff. Even the ending of the Elimination Chamber with Batista is something I grew an appreciation for. But I only know of the character work and stuff because of that. And then Flair like cuts a promo after that match, and I remember being in the seats, like in the stadium. He's got the microphone, and it's like echoing so bad I could not understand what he was even saying.
Oh, poor Sam.
The one thing that was like for the live crowd was something I couldn't hear.
Such a bummer. I am so sorry.
I'm sure the gist of it was, if you want to beat the man, you gotta beat the man. Like, it's...
Well, or it was something like, you think a little punk like you is going to end this career?
Yeah. Going to Space Mountain. Woo! All that good.
Woo! There you go.
But so, yeah, that match was super short. And then somehow we had an even shorter match, which was Edge versus Rey Mysterio. And this is where things are super weird, because throughout the night, right, I'm coming back to wrestling and I'm like, I don't know if Chavo Guerrero is supposed to be a good guy or if CM Punk is some asshole making fun of Eddie Guerrero, but who the fuck likes Chavo? You know, he's playing up to the crowd and people are straight up booing his ass. Again, we got the Il Chavo sign. When it came to Batista versus Undertaker, the little kids really wanted Batista to win. And I was just like, nah, fuck Batista. Like, you know, so I was like, I don't know who's a good, like, Undertaker's definitely not a fucking heel at this era. There's just no way. And then Ric Flair versus Mr. Kennedy, it's like Flair is a good guy, which is fine, sure, whatever. But then we got to Edge and Rey Mysterio. And Rey Mysterio is definitely the face. Like, there's just no way he's not the baby face for this match. I mean, Edge had to have his goon squad banned from ringside, you know, and then they didn't actually interfere. This match took like less than 10, I don't remember, but I remember it being super short. It had a great finish, but like nothing happened. And there was signs in the crowd that said Ray sucks. There was signs in the crowd that were like Edge's #1 fan. And everyone like cheered for Edge when he beat Rey Mysterio. And he beat him clean with like a sick spear counter reversal move. I don't know if he had done it before. I'm sure he does it again later at some point in their careers where Ray is just trying to do like a springboard West Coast pop and gets annihilated by a spear. And it was like Edge walked out confused. He was like confused because he's just getting cheers.
Whoa, no wonder they cut the match so short. But I bet the Elimination Chamber match that preceded earlier in the night took so much time that these poor guys had to give up some of their time because Ric Flair wasn't going to.
And there's 2 of them now. There's 2 fucking chamber matches, and you can't have a 6-man match go less than 15 minutes. God forbid.
Well, it seems almost mathematically impossible by the way.
God forbid
match,
you just
right?
have Undertaker come in halfway through a match and start eliminating motherfuckers.
Which was unheard of for Elimination Chambers, right? Back in the day. Yeah, I remember this being what you just described, by the way, is the exact same thing as the Shawn Michaels Shelton Benjamin spot, in just with a spear instead of a super kick.
Yeah, people popped hard for it.
Wow. Well, poor Ray.
But that was a face versus face match, right? That was the 2 faces versus each other. And, you know, this was like shit-eating heel. People are jumping up and down because he beat Rey Mysterio. I had to look it up for my own sake. You know, I usually try to go like straight from the memory. It was a 5-minute match. It was actually 5 minutes. And
I know.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, 5.5 minutes, and you know, I just remember like Edge booked it. Like he won the match, and then people are cheering, and normally he'd be like smugging it up and shoving it in people's faces, but because people are actually trying to high five him, he just leaves.
Wow. Weird.
Yeah,
what a bizarro night for that.
Yeah, Vegas is just a heel crowd, I guess.
God, I don't remember that at all. That's so weird. Maybe I was going to the bathroom during that time and sadly missed the entire World Championship match.
Oh yeah, what do you remember about these matches? I forgot you were here for this too. Is anything I'm saying untrue?
No, I do remember the night being faster than I thought, but everything was about those Elimination Chamber matches, and everything I remember is sparked from those. I mean, the Flair and Kennedy match, we all agreed that Kennedy wasn't going to win that. Edge and Mysterio was so fast, I truly don't remember it. Chavo and CM Punk, I remember appreciating getting to see CM Punk wrestle, and yeah, that's it, man. Like, you're really not getting any really cool sound bites from me from this, to be honest with you. It was all about the chambers, but
Right.
especially the next one.
And then this is something that's really awkward. This is the highlight of the night, and I have no clue how this became it. But Cena versus Orton, something I was not hyped for back then.
Right.
I would never be hyped for again.
Right.
It was a super slog of a match. Like how they got triple the time that Edge and Mysterio got was an absolute crime. But do you know there's one thing that made this a highlight for me.
Oh, geez, I can't imagine it because you already described it as a slog.
It is the children with literal tears in their face when Randy Orton slapped the referee to get disqualified when he couldn't beat John Cena. And you know what the best part was?
What?
I had no fucking clue what was happening.
Oh,
I couldn't see
man.
shit. I didn't know he slapped the referee. The match just fucking ends and Cena's pissed off. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh, man.
I was so confused.
A non-finish, and you couldn't even see it.
I couldn't even appreciate it. That's one of my favorite things. Like, heels abusing the rules. It's like, well, duh, of course I'd get disqualified.
Right.
You know? And the match, going back and watching the match later, it's probably one of the best ones they've ever done, especially because of that finish being something that just actually makes sense. You know, being something that Randy Orton would actually do if he couldn't beat John Cena rather than just, I don't know, getting distracted and putting a stupid sleeper hold, whatever. The STF is Cena's worst move of all time. So, but yeah, that was the highlight, is because it just made sense. And once the announcement came down, I was like, oh, haha, that's funny.
Cena's worst move was definitely the springboard stunner. And
that's so, man, he at least does that one pretty clean. He does a shitty STF.
Or how about when he was
it's a close
to do
race.
the running? How about when he was trying to do the running elbow? He did that for like one match. He like tapped the guy with his elbow and they died.
Oh yeah. He did like a bunch of karate poses. I don't know. They had a name for it, and someone tried to explain like what ancient karateka he was trying to pull out, but I didn't buy it. No one bought it. He stopped using it.
Well, yeah, it was Dez doorknob after
that.
It
looked stupid.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to troll on Jericho for creating the Judas effect.
Yeah. It was not great. And then the final Elimination Chamber match, I remember feeling really short and being like, oh, it's over already. And they did not include like my favorites of Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho and Jeff Hardy for a ton of it. And this was also like, I didn't really know what Jericho's whole thing was. I had started to get back in. I remember now I'd started to get back into it a little bit with the Save Us, the code breaking, all that stuff was like really cool. And that's like what was getting me, to come back to it. But as far as an Elimination Chamber match goes, I couldn't see what was going on. And I could pretty much only tell things that were happening when, Umaga gets to break the chamber spot, and Jeff Hardy climbing to the top of the chamber to jump off it was really cool. And I was really happy that Jeff was like final two, because, he wasn't seen as like a super main event guy yet, necessarily.
Sure.
And so that was really neat. Like watching him like take out Shawn Michaels and Triple H at one point, that's like the only really big highlight thing I had, because all my friends, I was the Jeff Hardy fan, like super fan as a 13-year-old. One of my friends was a Shawn Michaels super fan. I had a friend who was a Triple H super fan, right? And like they always had the DX thing over me, And so there's just one moment where Jeff Hardy took them both out, and that stuck out. But other than that, man, this was a car crash of a match. It was just guys slamming into each other, lots of one-on-one, lots of just selling on the ground. And I mean, I wanted Jeff to win at the time, and he didn't.
Yeah, it was a good time to see somebody new climb the mountain, and that was really hyped for the Jeff Triple H finish. I do remember that. And this was a great lineup for an Elimination Chamber match at that time, if I look back on it, and I can appreciate Jericho, Umaga, JBL, Shawn Michaels, Jeff Hardy as people who would stand across from Triple H for this opportunity. And I was so hyped for this match, and I was super excited for it. And that was a very memorable final too, because yes, of course, I was really pulling for Jeff Hardy.
I can tell you the moment when he kicked out of the pedigree, I did not know, like I could tell a pedigree happened, and I could tell that the match wasn't over. And I just remember standing up and being like, holy shit, what's happening? Like, wanting to get a better view.
Sure, of course. Hard
You
to
know,
believe.
like you can make out some key moments throughout the night for sure, but man, I think I watched this back at one point and think that this might be Jeff Hardy's best WWE outing as a singles competitor.
Oh, wow.
He
That's
gets
amazing.
he gets the kick out of a pedigree clean. He gets so close. Like realistically, bro, he should have won. He hits a low blow and then gets his twist of fate reversed onto the chair. And like a low blow into a finisher should just be fucking victory, but it took a steel chair. It took 2 chair shots technically, right? He gets thrown onto it. He eats the pedigree onto it. But he kicked out of a pedigree, and that used to mean something. That used to be a big deal when you get to kick out of a main eventer's finish in a brutal match like this, and the crowd was so fucking high on that. It's just a shame that it ended the way it did with Triple H winning.
Right. It did puncture the momentum, the note at which you want to send the fans home with should be high. But that was not a high note. I do recall
Right.
that. Just right in the heart of when Triple H was just constantly around the top of the card. Like, could we please have just
This
taken a
is
break?
the annoying part was this is when Triple H was the gatekeeper. He wasn't the champion squashing and burying people. He wasn't. He was just there to prevent you from being number one contender.
I see.
So, yeah, so
Absolutely.
that's what it's one thing if he's champ and he keeps stopping all your favorites from becoming champ. It's another thing when Batista and John Cena are the champs, or I guess Undertaker, whoever throughout the night, or Edge. For this night specifically, it's Edge and John Cena, and he's not even the champion. He's just stopping your guys from even getting a shot. That was super annoying.
Of course. It's a bummer. Boo. Worst era of Triple H. We don't bury dudes. Let them in. And I guess he listened eventually, theoretically anyway.
Sorta, maybe. Who knows? But
Oh.
yeah, do you remember anything super contrasting to that? Anything shockingly different?
Why? I mean, no, not for that era. I
For that
honestly,
event, I'm talking about for No Way Out 2008.
no, I don't.
Okay.
I remember it being all about those 2 Elimination Chamber matches and really only remembering the moments closer to the ends of those respective matches because this was a bit of a deflating pay-per-view. And even though, like, I enjoyed seeing Undertaker and Shawn Michaels and JBL and, some of my key favorites, there was something just kind of flat about the overall outcome and feeling of the night, despite also Jeff Hardy's apparent rise. There just wasn't anything really coming out of it that made me go like, cool, the paradigm has shifted. It's Undertaker and Triple H getting title matches at WrestleMania. That's not unheard of at that era.
Wow. Yeah. Not super surprising. But what do you guys think? What do you if you're with us this long, thank you so much. We ran over because of the stupid title belt bullshit, but
Which women's title belt do you think is the nicest?
okay, we're not doing that. Yeah, let us know down below, guys. What was your first pay-per-view event that you attended? What's your favorite title belts? How do you feel about WWE just creating more and more and more fake titles that don't mean anything and have their own lineage and history with which to track bullshit records, and so they can say, oh, longest reigning WWE Universal World Heavyweight Snooker Championship. Like, it's just another avenue to say this person's the longest reigning this brand new title belt because it's only been around for 3 years. I don't care.
Not a bad theory.
Yeah. Anyhow, we'll see you guys next week. That's the 1, 2, 3 for us. I'm Sam Tate.
I'm Warren Sprague.
We'll see y'all next week. Peace out.